So, about an hour ago, Trump tweeted out that there's a ceasefire agreement between Iran and Israel. And so, this past hour, everyone's been scrambling to be like, okay, is this guy for real? And if you know anything about Trump, he actually lies quite a bit. And unfortunately, this is the timeline that we're stuck on to where the president is tweeting out nonstop, all kinds of crazy stuff. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not true. Oftentimes it's half truths and misleading. And this is where we're at. So I'll try to cut through this stuff. I'll tell you guys what's going on, and at least the best of my ability, because anything could change. And let's jump right in. So first, it says here, this is coming from Qatar, and this is, I think it's like 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning out there. So we probably won't hear for maybe another 4 hours officially. Well, whatever that means from Iran and Israel, but from at least from Qatar, Qatari Prime Minister secured Iran's agreement to U.S. ceasefire proposed after a call with Trump. So this is coming from Reuters. Just came out just a few minutes ago, citing an unnamed source. So how reliable is that? I mean, I'll let you guys be the judge. Just unnamed source is reporting that the Qatari's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani secured Tehran's agreement to the U.S. proposal for a ceasefire in a conflict between Israel and Iran during a call with Iranian officials. Okay, but what about the Israeli side? This is what it says here. The phone call came after U.S. President Donald Trump told Qatar's emir that Israel had agreed to a ceasefire and asked for Doha's help in persuading Tehran to also agree to a ceasefire, the official told Reuters. Huh. So basically, USA is not talking to Iran, right? It's like, we're not friends, we're not talking. Actually, we hate each other. And so therefore, USA had to go through Qatar to get a deal with Iran. And then supposedly Trump saying that he talked to Israel and secured some sort of deal. I'm just reporting what they're saying. I'll wait for my official response. Is like from just reaction to this is like I'll wait for tomorrow to hear directly from Netanyahu, hey, we stopped shooting, and then also to hear from Khamenei or other people in Iran to say, hey, we're going to stop shooting. Also, make it clear that regardless of whatever quote ceasefire agreements happen, say the situation in Gaza, Israel just decided to start shooting again, right? I mean, that's just sort of hard to believe any of this stuff. And this is where we are. That's why I mentioned the whole timeline thing is like, is our whole lives and news cycles now, determined on what Trump tweets on a minute by minute basis? And apparently, yes, the markets were reacting to Trump's tweet thinking that, okay, ceasefire, ceasefire. And if you know anything about the markets, oftentimes this is done by algorithms. And so there could be a ton of insider trading going on, right? Trump could signal to buddies, hey, ceasefire time. Okay, great. And then signal, again, maybe an hour from now, oh no, ceasefire's off. It's all their fault, blah, 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 blah. And that's what we're dealing with. And then you had the weird, bizarre tweet of Trump saying that Putin's the boss and he used the N-word, meaning nuclear. I know it's not the N-word you think. I just made a video about this, but I'm trying to catch up to you guys. I'll read a little bit more here. This was another one. This just came out 42 minutes ago, so just recently. It says, no confirmation yet from Iran or Israel on ceasefire. And this is from Al Jazeera. As we've been reporting, Trump announced that a ceasefire would come into effect between Israel and Iran over the next 24 hours. However, there's been no confirmation from either side. So all we have right now is coming from Qatar. I also want to read some of your comments because you guys always have interesting thoughts. So this is coming from Caitlin. Caitlin says, all I know is that the only thing Trump does stuff for is himself. Somehow he enriched himself. So Caitlin, I'm with you there. Odia says fake news. So I guess Odia does not believe Trump. JB says there was way too much Trump in this and that freaky prayer ritual was repulsive. Again, watch my last video. People whipping themselves up into a frenzy of aggression, devoid of thought, drunk on ego, free of reason, numb to guilt, and ready for blissful atrocity. You guys are the best community out there on the internet, so I always appreciate joining. This is Billy Bob. Billy Bob says, religious weirdos with things that go boom. Thanks, USA. Okay, what else we got here? This is from the Squirrel. The Squirrel says, Agent Orange is making another bid to get the Nobel Peace Prize. You remember before Trump and his people were saying, hey, maybe we should rename the Nobel Peace Prize to the Trump Peace Prize. And Trump was claiming that he should have won this thing several times, maybe. Putin might have told him to stand down. Insider trading seems like a solid hypothesis. So that was my point of view. I'm thinking there's some sort of insider trading going on here. The prayer stuff is just bizarre. That's in my last video, you guys got to see it. And they would have expected the attack, even if Iran did not notify them. It was an obvious move. Yeah. Okay. So, and I also mentioned as well, trying to catch you guys up to speed. I know there's a lot going on just in this last couple of hours. Iran launched an attack on the USA, but it looked like, at least Trump said so, and also just looked like from movements that the US was notified ahead of time. So USA, I guess, moved all their stuff out of the way. There was some discrepancy. Trump said something like 14 missiles were launched, but then I got a report here that Qatar was saying 19 missiles were launched. I mean, it doesn't matter. Well, actually, no, to be fair, yes, it does matter because, like, 5 missiles could go wherever, but Trump was saying one went, quote, set free, according to Trump, set free, whatever that means. And then you have a discrepancy there. We just got an update. This is literally live right now. Iranian demonstrators celebrate missile attack on Qatar. Okay, so some people are happy that Iran is attacking. So, and this is part of the game as well. A lot of this, for any world leader out there, you want to keep your people happy, right? So Iran needs to cut some sort of deal, and so that they can claim a win. USA needs to cut some sort of deal so they can claim a win. Russia needs to try to claim a win, and Israel needs to try to claim a win. And how could these things play out? Would all of these attacks end up being symbolic in the sense of, like, if USA attacked Iran, we don't know necessarily where the uranium is. Was Iran notified ahead of time to move the uranium out of there? Because a lot of this stuff was all based on, hey, Iran, why are you rich in uranium? Why do you need to do that? You can't do that. Iran's like, well, we're just doing it. It's not for weapons necessarily. U.S. Intel says not for weapons. They haven't given an order for weapons. My opinion is sort of like, when you think about this, you could just say, well, Iran maybe want to maintain that option, but not necessarily building said thing. So either way, though, we don't know necessarily where the uranium is. And on the sites that were bombed, there hasn't been increase in radioactivity yet, as we've seen. What else we got here? I'd like to read your guys' thoughts. This is from Anna. Anna says, and how long will this good gesture will last? Israel will always find a way to sabotage to get us into a deeper war. Also, can we really trust President Trump? They may just be trying to leave Iran off guard. I hope Iran won't leave their guards down. Neither the mass murderer Netanyahu or Trump can be trusted. Tone says, Chris, World War III proposed for 2 weeks, maybe. Moy says, lock him up. Robert says, Iran moved all their uranium the day or 2 days before. There's a satellite picture doing rounds on the net of around 40 trucks lined up in the entrance tunnels after the taco man said he'd think about it for about 2 weeks. Jelena says, I think she was speaking in tongues, a forked tongue. That's referring to the White House prayer group. Again, watch my last video. And then you got this. Barra says, those were Talib evangelicals outside the White House. And unfortunately for the world, your president is a dangerous liar. And then Mark is saying, CNN says no ceasefire. They specifically said there would be no ceasefire negotiations until Israel stops hitting them with missiles. They have no idea where they come up with this. So, and I can't verify necessarily CNN's report. I'm just telling you what people are saying because the report that I have right here is from the Qatar. Let me see if there's any updates on this. But the problem, problem with this, another thing I just want to mention. Oh, they got 6 more updates. The other problem I want to mention this stuff is that we're in a situation to where you can't trust whatever the president says, which is a horrible situation to be in. I don't want to live in this timeline where, the president Trumper, or how you can want to say it, the Twitter Trumper, tweeter toddler in chief, it is just tweeting out whatever he wants. It just shows, like, let's say there was a deal or something sort of talks. It just shows he can't keep a secret. He doesn't have patience, right? Because normally the protocol would be Iran, Israel, right? They should make some sort of statements. Trump will make some sort of statement, right? Give equal credit to everyone involved with this stuff. The way Trump is playing this is like, hey guys, it's all me. It's all about me and me. And that's That's why I always say, guys, the only thing you really need to know about this stuff is that Trump is in this to enrich himself. And so regardless of what he tweets out, we don't know what the other sides are going to say, but we can ensure that Trump is all about making money and putting it in his pocket. And that's what's up. So I want to hear more about your thoughts. I just gave you the latest and updates. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.